If a paper grain can fly on, fly on, fly on, fly on, fly on.
You don't know me like that. You got a problem, you can meet me out back. Look, I don't mean to be a sound rash, just hear me out. We don't need to beef about facts.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, people. Happy Monday, y'all.
Happy Monday. Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. James Bubba Williams, DJ Exclusive. How's it going, man?
Going pretty good, Brother Ben. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I got my shot on Friday. That's primarily where we were. I took the morning off to go and get that Pfizer vaccine in my arm, and me and my wife, and we're both doing good, man. I honestly, my arm is still sore, but other than that, no side effects, no, fever or anything. So I'm doing good.
Man, that's good to hear, man. That's because I told you after my first shot, boy, I was out of there that next day, just like felt real tired and fatigued. Yeah, just like Yeah, no, that's what everyone is telling me, especially with the second dose. But I have 3 weeks to May 14th to get my second dose, and Jada for her to get her second dose. And then, as far as I'm concerned, man, we're out of this. Like, we have to wait. Our side, anybody with kids, like, we're still able, at least according to some reports, we're still able to transmit the coronavirus, even if we have been fully vaccinated. And so to that end, we're going to, me and my wife, we're going to be careful to not go hardly anywhere. We'll probably still stay on lockdown in our household until there's a safe vaccine for kids as well. But other than that, man, it'll be good not to have to. It'd be good not to have to stress every time I go and pick up takeout for the family and wonder if the person behind me, because this is what happened the other day. I went to go pick up some. It's crazy. I went to go pick up some food for the family the other day, and so the guy in front of me, socially distanced, he had his mask underneath his nose. I'm like, God damn it! So I then had to go and lean in and make an order into his space where he had been breathing. But that wasn't even the bad part. The bad part was there was a dude behind me without a mask on at all, yelling on his phone. And I'm like, dude, if this was another time, another generation, and I ain't have kids, I probably would have sparked that dude, man. Because it's like, how do you continue to go? I'm serious, man. How do you go in public and not care at all? Not even care for the appearance of care. Like, at least the first dude had his mouth covered and not his nose, but the second dude didn't have on a mask at all, like he didn't care. But that's the situation. There's still so many people who aren't taking this as seriously as we should be taking it. And but so anyway, that's where I am. But speaking of COVID, according to the latest data published by the CDC, roughly 42% of all Americans have received at least one dose of the vaccine, with 29% of Americans being fully vaccinated. Now, although the CDC has placed a temporary pause on administering the new doses of Johnson & Johnson. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think that pause was lifted. They announced on Friday that the distribution will continue, but at this time with a warning about the possibility of developing blood clots, which is a serious thing for anyone, particularly who have a history of blood clots. But the cases were rare. I believe, James, I think it was 7 out of 7 million. So it's like 1 in a million chance that you would have developed blood clots. And all of the people who did develop blood clots were women between the ages of 18 and 48. And so they're making sure that with this vaccine that they're going to continue rolling it out. They're going to make sure that they have the warning on there so that people can be aware of that possibility. In COVID travel news, the European Union announced on Sunday that they will begin allowing vaccinated Americans to resume travel to Europe. For anyone who
fancies taking a European trip, and I guess you have those kind of resources, go ahead and get fully vaccinated. And at least now we can at least go to the European Union, countries that are a part of the European Union. That said, there's still a deeply rooted problem that's going on with the vaccines, particularly in the global South. While the United States continues its rollout of the vaccine, many nations around the world are protesting the unethical and unscientific stance that the United States has taken against the creation of generic versions of vaccines. Namibia and Kenya specifically denounced what they called a vaccine apartheid. Presently, countries like Israel and the United States and Britain have been able to keep recent COVID infections low through the rollout of the vaccines, while countries like India have seen recent outbreaks spread further and deadlier than in the recent past. Nations without access to those manufacturers, or those without the capital to purchase them, the resources to purchase them, have been asking America and the World Trade Organization to temporarily suspend pharmaceutical companies' intellectual property rights. And the U.S. has, and their partners have so far rejected. In South America, according to an investigation by the UK-based Bureau of Investigative Journalism, Pfizer has been accused of bullying countries by asking them to put up sovereign assets, such as embassy buildings, as a guarantee against the cost of any future legal cases that may arise from complications due to the vaccine. In one country, Pfizer insisted that governments cover the cost of civil cases brought as a result of Pfizer's own negligence, fraud, or malice. In Argentina and Brazil, Pfizer asked for sovereign assets to be put up as collateral against future legal costs. The Biden administration has been heavily criticized internationally for their pro-vaccine apartheid policies. And yesterday, the administration announced it would begin sending crucial raw materials to India in order to assist with their record levels of infections. However, unless something changes, prepare to see more piecemeal aid and systemic plans to the deal with coronavirus on a global scale. What's happening in India, James, is particularly troubling because of the number of deaths. They're estimating is 2 to 5 times higher than what's being reported. And they're doing this based on the number of cremations, the increase in cremations that have taken place since the coronavirus. And so what the nation is reporting does not reflect the uptick in the number of cremations that are connected to COVID-19. And so we're seeing across the world, across the global South, the people really do need access. And the other part of this is that, in a way, we're wasting vaccines here in the United States, right? In an attempt to make sure that we have enough for every single adult in America, we've seen so many vaccines have to be thrown away because there's more supply than demand. Let me say, I want to say that again. I want to say it more precisely. There's currently more supply than the demand from people who are willing and able to go get the vaccine or are aware that the vaccine is free. There needs to be a concerted effort on the media and organizations across the United States, including the federal government, to make public service announcements about the availability, the viability, and the cost, which is free, of the vaccine, and to promote the realistic idea that if you get the vaccine, we as a nation can come out of it. That's putting that aside. The fact remains that every day vaccines are thrown away in this country because, well, we have a greater supply than the number of people who are either willing or able or aware that they can get the vaccine for free. And with that happening in the backdrop of what's happening in India, what's happening across the global South, and Pfizer, like I'm glad to have gotten the Pfizer vaccine, but to know that this corporation is absolutely strong arming poor nations during a pandemic, it just doesn't speak well of what America is. And it certainly doesn't speak well of corporations, the pharmaceutical industry, and it certainly doesn't speak well of for-profit motives, capitalism involved in healthcare issues.
The vaccine should be free, period. Period. The vaccine should be free, period. That said, Rebecca Zor, what's happening, sis?
I was not ready.
Neck rolling.
I'm listening to Ben. I was like, yep,
period.
Be free.
Period. Right, right, Dwayne.
Preach. And thanks, Dwayne. Thank you so much. We were supposed to be ready. And then I go.
I was getting ready to take us a break to bring you in, but then I saw you there. So
because it's like he was out to get me. I feel like Dwayne, he prepared me to just put me up looking crazy. But good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning, Rebecca.
Hey,
you are on the name.
I love the crown on top of your head, Bubba. And Ben, it looks like you're in a new background on this beautiful Monday. Where you at?
Yeah, no, I'm back in my little my bedroom office. I just need to switch it up for a couple of reasons. The audio quality is just nice and quiet in here versus the last 6 months of all the echo in my living area. But that's where I am. Where are you at?
I'm in my living room.
Did you slide through? Did you slide through the location that I told you about the other day about going to get that vaccine? Were you able to get some time?
No, and right after that, I left town that evening. So, yeah,
you out here traveling unvaccinated. Help us, Jesus.
That's a story in itself. Look, I be so scared. Like I'm I'm out in these streets, and then I get out in the streets, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going. I'm not doing it. Literally, I traveled to go see a friend, my best friend, and then a Haitian band that I know was performing. And oh God, it was just it. I thought they were gonna go with the COVID precautions and things like that.
Nope.
No, guys, it was like I never, and I go to these Haitian events a lot, but that's what I realized. I'm not the person I used to be. I'm just not. I can't be out here with these folks looking like this. And I was like, That's when I was talking to my best friend. We were when we were out there, we walked, turned around, went back to the car, and was like, it's a no for us. I mean, we were dressed to the nines, and we were like, we're not who we used to be. And I think it's time for us to go ahead and get the vaccine. Like we literally sat in the car and we're having like the grown-up conversation. Like that's just not for us. Like it wasn't right. And I definitely blasted, love my people so much, but I definitely blasted that promoter.
The organizers.
Organizers, because it was out of control. It was out of hand. It was overcapacitated. And not only do our people, when I say our people, I mean our Haitian people do this in the community. I've seen this at other parties. It's like for the look, to make it look like it's so sold out when they advertise it online. It was, you guys missed it. This is like, this is after COVID. Like COVID is still out there, but I'm saying like, we had something like COVID. You should never be trying to overcapacitate your parties or anything like that. When it's sold out, it's sold out. Don't sell hundreds of more tickets for people to come.
It was jammed like that?
It was jam-packed inside. And then it was the same way it looked inside of it. It looked outside. And those people outside were ticket holders.
So that's one of the times you want to be out the club. Like the people who couldn't get in the club, they were the lucky ones because they sound like they were wilding.
And the thing is, I wanted them to know that they were the lucky ones, but they didn't understand that they were the lucky ones because of the whole persona of the summer is ours, and for Caribbeans, we like that whole, in the summer where it's hot and sweaty and we tight and body to body. Not in this season. Season, like, I was looking like this is not for me. So, we definitely looked at it and was like, ooh.
Let me real quick circle back to one point because I see a couple of questions in the comment section. I want to circle back to one point. The vaccine is free to the recipient, but it is certainly not free in terms of the cost that governments are having to pay. And that cost, of course, there is an issue of supply and actually manufacturing it, and there are costs associated with manufacturing. But when we talk about the vaccine in the global South and the way that they are strong arming these nations, like they're having to put up their entire embassy
fine, put up the embassy. Who cares? But the fact is that they're trying to get as much money as they can out of this global pandemic. And I just don't think the profit motive, I don't think anybody should be making a single penny profit off of the vaccine, off of this pandemic, because too many people are dead, man. Too many people have died. We're at 600,000 people in the United States. So, but I want to make sure I just clarify that for anyone who was wondering. The vaccine is free for the end user, whether you have insurance or not. But the government is footing the bill, and the governments across the global south who don't have the resources the United States have are unable to get access to it because of, well, one, the cost, two, the supply is being sucked up by the United States, and three, well, they're not being given access to the intellectual property rights in order to produce a generic version so that they can produce it for cheaper. That's it. Anyway, I just want to clarify that, Rebecca.
The vaccine is free. And what should be free as well, I feel like, is the testing. I know that tests are free, right? When you go to CVS and things like that. But there are people in these setup booths or whatever.
Charging folks.
Let me put a little bit more light on my face. There are people who are like in these parking lots, these parking lot drive-through joints. And they're charging over $100 to be tested.
Oh,
and
what?
for people who don't, yes, just happened. Because I made sure I was like, let me go ahead, pull up and get a test because there was a lot of people out there. But yes, it was like they are out there literally charging folks over $100 to test it. And it was my cousin who's a nurse who had to tell a few of us like, yo, yeah, the test is free. But I be like, when I'll pass by in these, like there's one down on Terrell Mill in Marietta. I gotta call it out. There's one down on Terrell Mill Road in Marietta next to the Didi's in the Burlington in the USA hair store.
The whole location.
And it's in that parking lot. And people are driving through to get their rapid. I guess the rapid tests are over $100, and the 2-day tests are free. But some people don't know that, and they're thinking this is the only space they can get it. And I'm seeing lines. I'm seeing people pull up and pay over $100 to get that. And that's I'm like, it should be free all the way across. Nobody should be charging for any of that. But
people will hustle you like nobody's business because it's just the system that we're in, man. Everybody is so desperate to survive as well as desperate to become the next billionaire that they'll be out there hustling, knowing they got those tests for $5 and charging you $100 for it.
Because y'all need to know, goddammit, to use your resources and look up free COVID tests. I'm gonna beat y'all ass. Y'all need to know this stuff, man. Come on now. Don't y'all pay that much. Don't y'all pay no money for no tests.
I will say
Google is free. Google is free.
So Google is free, but not everybody speaks English. Not everybody has access to internet. But you're right, Bubba. The cars that I see pulling up in that Terrell Mill parking lot, Mercedes-Benz, Maserati. I was about to say,
I already knew what they was.
And I'm looking at them like, who is it? So yeah, and they're playing race car to get in front of each other. Like, I'm about to go get tested, my boy. I literally saw this with my own eyes. And this is not a made up scenario. I was sitting, waiting to go to the hair store because I needed to go get a product for these edges. And I was watching, like they came parked. They came parked, I guess, in one of these parking spots, but they were parked near each other, just talking. My boy, we about to get tested. Boy, we flying out of the country, boy. We flying. They're just having this conversation. I'm just staring at them, people watching, because that's what I do. And as I people watch, they finally dapped each other up, and they were like revving up their vehicles. Another car came behind them, and they were like, that car ain't gonna get in front of us. And they raced to the spot in line to get tested. And I was just like, this is just, at least they're getting tested.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least they
but what's the point? See, to me, it's like, I get the idea of getting tested so that you can know, your, the friends and family, that you can make sure. But why are people still going out is the real question. Like, why are people still, we've been talking about this during the whole pandemic, but you just have a huge portion of this country who literally did not. There's a group, obviously, who had no choice, essential workers, right? Salute to them, solidarity with them. But I'm thinking about the people who aren't essential workers, who could have stayed their butts at home, but instead, what they did, Hey,
I'm
These
going
extro-
in.
these
I can
extroverts.
no longer be in the house.
They
Then
Yeah.
so I-
they
These
gonna be
extroverts,
they
bro.
gonna get some they gonna get a lot of rest.
But let me tell you, what it is that you got to understand. People now, they're so used to it. They got so tired. They done went out one or two times. Oh, I feel okay. Ain't nothing happened.
Oh,
Then
I
let me
didn't
keep
catch it
on
that
doing
time. Yep.
They ain't catch
So
it that
I'll
time. They
say-
keep on going.
So I will say for myself, like I'm ready to get out, and I know that, like I said, I realize that I am not that person anymore. If the place that I'm going to does not have like there's not following COVID precautions, isn't
Yes.
saying, hey, we got to make sure sectioned off this and that, mask required type thing. If it's not doing those kind of things, then you won't find me, because what I saw
Exactly.
on Friday night wasn't me. But I can't be in the house no more. That's why I do got to get that shot.
Yeah.
We had a grown up conversation, me and my girlfriend, and we was just like, it's just not. This is unacceptable. This is not right. And we are no longer that person anymore. Yes, we like fun. Yes, we like to go, throw
Y'all
it in
gotta
the
have
circle.
y'all gotta at least have on some doggone mask.
Let me tell you something.
Exactly,
Not even a
bro.
bedazzled mask- Not even a bedazzled mask in sight for the bedazzled wedding shoes that I saw at that event. Not even a bedazzled mask.
They
I
had on bedazzled shoes.
I'm like,
But
girl,
not the
what you
bedazzled
doing with
mask.
the heel is hitting the floor, sis. Like, what's going on? It was a lot of things happening, but
Well, listen, I want to shift gears real quick here. I want to talk about last week, the last couple of months here, the entire Derek Chauvin trial, the entire everything that we're following in Minneapolis and Brooklyn Center with Dante Wright, the continued lack of justice for Breonna Taylor. They have been extremely tiring and traumatizing weeks. And despite that, Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator, B3 Dwayne, the Republican senator from South Carolina, appeared on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, where he was asked about the existence of systemic racism. And not that I have any expectation whatsoever for Lindsey Graham to be on the right side of anything, but his response really speaks volumes as it pertains to how intentionally oblivious, like they will not see racism if it literally smacked them in the face. Here's Lindsey Graham as he discusses the non-existence of systemic racism.
Senator, is there systemic racism in this country in policing and in other institutions?
No, not in my opinion. We just elected a two-term African-American president. The vice president is of African-American Indian descent. So our systems are not racist. America is not a racist country. Within every society, you have bad actors. The Chauvin trial was a just result.
The Chauvin trial was a just result, but there's no systemic racism because we got a black president and we got a black VP, Rebecca.
I got black friends.
We got black friends. That's exactly what he
How
said.
am I racist? How am I racist? I got black friends. I told you I live in a predominantly white city. And when I first moved here, I'm like, these people are oblivious to what's happening outside of this particular this circle. Like they walk around, they go to Target, they go to Delartre, they literally will sit outside after the news of a black man being murdered and the people are in the streets protesting. They will just act like there's nothing outside of this little circle until it touches their little circle. And it's funny because, and then the people that do speak up are the ones literally holding signs. Because the first time I pulled up here, packing my little stuff, I saw this lady that said, Donald Trump isn't the problem. You are.
I'm sorry. Who are they talking to now?
They were whoever they were talking to on the streets in this predominantly white city that I live in. They're like, Donald Trump isn't the problem. You are. And that was before he, we took him out of office. But it just, to hear Lindsey Graham, who is a senator, use recent, just yesterday's, just 2 seconds ago, the fact that we have people sitting in these seats who are black, and then we got a vice president who's a woman who happens to be a person of color. I say that because she's black and she's of Indian descent. So it's interesting that they're using this right now to say, like, how are we in racism? Like, how is the system built in racism? How? Because we have this. But if it was for Lindsey Graham and the people who follow him, we would have never had that. That's because of us. We did that. We put those people in place, not you. So that means, like, definitely they're going to take credit for things that we have done. Of course, they're going to colonize our movement. Of course, they're going to colonize the fact that we put those people in office. He didn't do that. If it was up to him and his team, that wouldn't have happened. And that lets us know that it still is built in racism. The system is definitely built in racism. And his people were up there on January 6th, which lets us know, and upset and blaming Black Lives Matter for something we had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Okay. So please tell me, sir, once again, how the BS about this system not being literally drenched in racism, white supremacy, like
drenched,
literally. I just don't understand. Help me, please, somebody, because I don't know.
They are professional liars. They specialize in half truths. As Brother Malcolm said, their number one job is to make sure that the power structure of this country never changes in any way, right? Not even a little bit. They don't want to give an inch of power to Black people in this country. And I'm not talking about, listen, Barack Obama was president. Good on him. Congratulations. But that wasn't power for Black people. That was power for Barack Obama. Kamala Harris is the vice president. Good on her. Congratulations, sis. Salute, all that good stuff. All the sororities, sisters of AKA, all that is amazing. The history, all of it is that's power for her. That's not power for Black people if they don't implement policies to undo the systemic racism that exists in this country, right? So using those two people who were just the exception to the rule, when the rule is white supremacy and systemic racism, is not only bad faith, but it's a strategy. Like, it's intentional. The purpose is to make sure that we never really undo. And by undo, I mean defund the police and refund these communities that the police are taking money from. Right. That means to address the criminal justice system that is literally an injustice system. The more money you have, the least accountability that you're going to face, and the least amount of money that you have, you're going to be held accountable for everything. That's systemic. Redlining, that was systemic racism. And so for him to say this, of course he knows racism exists because he's from South Carolina. Like Lindsey Graham, like, he might not blend in with the rest of the Klan so much because all the other dynamics that I won't go into, but he's certainly fully aware that this is the beat. This is what it is in this country. But his job as a propagandist, as a senator and a propagandist, is to make sure that he continues to be an obstruction to any actual progress against systemic racism. Because if we have progress, rather, then that means that white Christian men like him will have just a little bit less power, and they can't have that. They can't stomach that. So.
I absolutely love those ombre drapes in your background. It's really beautiful. I was looking at them as you were.
Get it.
They were really beautiful ombre drapes. Shout out to Jada, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because I don't even know what an ombre drape is.
Right. But ombre. It's like the ombre shorts, no? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
No, the ombre drapes in the background. They're going from white into that pink color.
Oh, is that what that is? Shout out to Jada, because I certainly certainly had no idea.
But yeah, I mean, Lindsey Graham is trash.
Well, I got a list of Republican trash people in this one little segment.
Go ahead.
Rick Scott, for everybody from Florida, former Governor Rick Scott, Senator Rick Scott is now Senator Rick Scott, an overseer of the largest Medicare fraud in history. I want to make sure we start there. Rick Scott is the overseer, was the CEO of a company that committed the largest Medicare fraud in the United States history. He was on ABC this week with George Stephanopoulos, and he was asked a question about why he would give Donald Trump the Champion of Freedom Award that Senate Republicans recently gave to former President Trump. Senator Scott said the following. He said, "I gave them an award for the right reasons. He worked hard with all those days on the golf course." Let's take a look at that exchange between Stephanopoulos and Senator Rick Scott.
Finally, a couple weeks back, you gave former President Trump something you called the Champion of Freedom Award. That was on April 10th. And you did that despite the fact that the former president continues to spread lies about the election, about Mike Pence, and the Capitol siege on January 6th. He said there was no threat there. Doesn't giving the president an award like that endorse that kind of behavior?
I gave him the award for the right reasons. He worked on border security. He worked on creating the best economy we've had probably in my lifetime. He worked on holding Xi and China accountable, the Castro regime accountable, Maduro accountable, helping Israel, got the Abraham Accords done. So, he worked hard. Every president I know would like to get more things accomplished, but he did some things that prior presidents had not gotten done.
Well, except you gave that award after he spread the lies about the election.
Rebecca, I'm trying to finish the segment. Rebecca's like, no, go ahead. Bring Rebecca on the screen because we can go back. He definitely looks like a cyborg. He looks like something else.
It's like he's broken. Like it's like, I definitely think that he
malfunction.
Yes.
Trump.
Yeah, look, Trump is our leader.
Right.
You know what he really looks like? What we always used to call him was Skeletor. I don't know if y'all remember.
And yes, and I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to say that because I met him and I interviewed him as a baby journo back at Florida A&M University over there on the hill in Tallahassee, the highest of 7 hills. And I interviewed him, and he had a little bit more meat on his bones. He was fresh. He was running at the time, and I don't know.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, lying, selling your soul.
Ben. Yep.
Look what it does to you. It eats you up from the inside out. Look at you. Look at you now. Look at you. Yeah. Ben, you can continue on with your saying. I apologize.
Thank you. I appreciate the person.
Somebody said that's not Skeletor, that's Voldemort.
Oh man. Oh man. Voldemort. I think that's the close. Yeah. No fact.
That's the closest one. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Champion of Freedom Award is an award that Senate Republicans and their donors invented. They just came up with it after Donald Trump began attacking Mitch McConnell in public and private speeches. Apparently, the NRCC will be delivering this award every year from now on. And according to their website, the qualifications or the criteria to get this award, there are 4 criteria. 1, you have to be a conservative leader. Okay. Donald Trump was, I guess he was conservative. 2, you have to work tirelessly. He spent more days on the golf course than any other president, probably combined. 3, they must protect values that make our country great. And by that, they're saying racism. And 4, stop the Democrats' socialist agenda. Show me a Democrat that's in power right now that's an actual socialist, and then maybe we could talk about number 4. But anyway, all those are just BS. But they invented this award, and they're doing this, honestly, to continue to kiss Donald Trump's butt. Right? Because Donald Trump has so much power in the Republican Party. They did not have the nerve. They didn't have the backbone to actually get rid of Donald Trump. And so because they didn't get rid of Donald Trump, they're going to have to continue to kiss his butt for the rest of his life in order for them to get any political power. Because Rebecca, they are both. Donald Trump, rather, is the kingmaker. You don't get anywhere in the Republican Party in 2021, 2022 without Donald Trump's approval. And they know that. And so instead of getting rid of him, they're having to kiss his butt forever.
I just really hate that they gave that man so much power. Like, God, man, just
look. Look what social media does. It's funny because social media will give people like that little girl, the little white girl that was disrespectful to her mama on the Dr. Phil show so much.
Catch me outside.
You right, catch me outside. How about that?
How about
that? And she said that to her mom. so she's white. But
a black kid would be
literally dead. She literally rose to fame because of us. So imagine all of those the people that created that cult around Donald Trump and how they were able to bleed into other white communities and grab Candace Owens folks here and there on the way, and create this whole huge cult. And we already know when, Republicans just see one thing, and that's kind of like you represent Republican or nothing. And That's how it is. And that's how he rose to his fame. He was already famous as an entertainer who, was disgusting, but a lot of rappers already, were friends with him and things like that because of money, right? So money gives you power. And as soon as he got into office, no matter what, other people in the Republican Party were able to do what they needed to do behind the scenes and blame it on Trump. That's just how they got away with a lot of things. Trump, was dumb, but he wasn't he was dumb. Come on, we know as far as for presidency, he was dumb. He didn't fit the criteria. He wasn't qualified. I'm not saying that the unqualified don't deserve a seat at the table when they have what it takes, like when they're putting in the work. We didn't see any work really being put in by Donald Trump, except for the agenda of white supremacy. And I think one thing about that is it highlighted for us what we already knew as a people, Black people, that there is a lot of racism. Hey, white folks, and you see there's a lot of racism in the White House. There's a lot of racism in our leadership. And now we can blast it because Donald Trump literally doesn't care what comes out of his mouth. And it's all racist rhetoric. And it's okay. Just because a Black man kneeled, he called them and the people who kneeled sons of bitches. And that was okay for our president to use that kind of speech, and call up a favor with his friends at the NFL and tell them to get their boys in line. So, this is, that's how he became powerful. He already had these relationships in the entertainment world, and he already had money, so that he had that power. And then for the people, working, as our leaders in this nation, they were just like, hey, you do for us, we do for you. And we'll keep you in the seat for a minute. We'll keep it warm for you. And that's how this cult became what it became, because of people who like to make people stars for no reason.
Yep. The other reason he became and got so much power is also, that's a really great point, James, that the fact that he even got this powerful is the problem. But the other reason he got this much power is because Donald Trump just has no shame. And Rebecca, like you were pointing out, how unqualified he was, he didn't care. To him, he was like, oh, no, I'm Donald Trump, so I don't care if I don't know anything. I can get out here and say whatever I want to say. He had no respect for anybody, for any kind of like normalcy or integrity, or like the way he attacked the other Republicans really brought everything down during the 2015-16 primaries. It brought everything kind of down to like middle school, cafeteria food fight level. And he tapped into the fact that, well, that's kind of stuff a lot of Americans want to see because, well, that's the kind of, he's an entertainer, like you said. He knew what people wanted to see. He knew people wanted to see him call Marco Rubio Little Marco, and he wanted to see them call Ted Cruz Lion Ted
Pocahontas
Cruz,
for
Pocahontas for Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, you know what I mean? So he knew that's what especially his type of Americans wanted to see. And so it was a combination of everything that you said, Rebecca, and the fact that he had just no shame whatsoever. He didn't know something. He didn't care. He still believed that he was the most important person and the most knowledgeable person in the history of history. So anyway.
A president that spewed lies. I mean, he's not the first.
Yes.
He's not the first. Yeah. He's not the first, but
he did
somebody who literally, you couldn't tell him nothing. It was almost like that video that I was shocked about by OG George Bush, the original, and he was like, I didn't say that. Did I say that? About the economics? And I'm like, it's on tape, sir, but they will lie. And Donald Trump was already a liar. He was already built and created in the likeliness of Satan. So, of course he would be in that position and say that things are true, even though they're not. But he allowed Charlottesville riot to be a thing. He allowed the insurrection, the terrorist attack to be a thing. He allowed for so many police officers to gather and create this thin blue line to combat Black Lives Matter. On top of white folks saying white lives matter. On top of KKK folks now wearing their hoods for free. on top of, walking into stores and not knowing if you're going to be targeted because you are Black or a person of color. You going on airplanes and thinking that you're better than somebody who may look Muslim or just look like for what he created with the Muslim ban is terrorists. You know what I mean? All of this is what this man created, and I cannot believe that white folks who had, I believe some of them do have sense, but white folks who had sense thought that if he didn't take the seat of presidency, Black folks would either somehow take over this whole nation or something. I don't know. It's just weird how they would choose him over whatever because they didn't want Black folks.
Because they were so mad. They were so mad that Barack Obama was president. Like they really when that half Black man got elected, it wasn't good enough that he was half white. All they saw was that blackness in him
at all,
and they were like, "Oh,
and he had Black swag.
No,
he had Black swag though.
I'm just saying, like,
giving us.
He was as much white.
More upset.
He was as much white as he was Black in terms of his father was 50, Black, 50. His mother was white.
50-50.
And so
50-50.
It was not good enough that he was half white. They lost their minds like we had elected Kwame Ture. Like we had elected Malcolm X. Like
Killer Mike.
You know what I mean?
Killer Mike.
And Barack Obama, like, God bless him. I know everybody love and respect him, but that man, the most he did for Black folks during his time was say if Trayvon Martin was my son, he could be my son or whatever. That's the most he said.
He got me insurance. So everybody I understand. Everybody didn't qualify, but
Obamacare.
I did, and I got that. Yes, yes, I did.
Thank God for Obamacare, but it's just too damn expensive, right?
It's like literally expensive, bro.
Like the rent,
$600 a month for me and my wife.
Okay. What?
But anyway, I want to get in one more. I want to get in one more story real quick, and then I want to circle back because Rebecca, you mentioned the thin blue line. I just had our producers pull a video. We'll come back to that. It's Tyler Perry talking about something at the Oscars last night that I felt like we should. And I don't want to clown him too much because it's always a possibility of relationships and partnerships. But damn it, Tyler Perry. Before we go there, though. Earlier this month, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren introduced the No First Use bill with colleagues from both the House and the Senate. Now, this bill would make it illegal for the United States to use nuclear weapons first during a conflict. And that's significant, especially when you consider the last president that we had continuously had us on the verge of some type of massive conflict, and he always floated the idea of using nuclear weapons. If the United States were to sign this into law, then it would join countries such as India, China, who have maintained this policy since the Cold War. For years before the Cold War, and even still, the United States and NATO have refused to make any such promises due to the specter of one threat or another, the fear of Russia or the fear of any other nuclear power. They always refuse to adopt this policy. On Fox News, Representative Mike Turner took Warren's sensible policy of no first use, right? We're not going to strike first with nuclear weapons because let's think about the game here, right? The first use is going to lead to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, right? We're at a stage in human history where the first nuke that is fired all but guarantees that all the nukes are going to be fired, which is the end of humanity. So it is a very sensible policy, but Representative Mike Turner took to Fox News and turned it around saying that she's trying to tie the hands of our generals. Let's take a look at that.
And then you've got Democrats led by Elizabeth Warren reintroducing a bill to block the U.S. from using nuclear weapons first. What's the logic?
There really isn't any that's for our security. The Biden administration is proposing 16% increases everywhere else but in defense. Elizabeth Warren obviously wants to tie the hands of our generals so that they cannot defend against our adversaries. We need to make certain that America stays strong, that we build a strong military, that we rise to the occasion against the modernization of China and Russia. And with that, we'll be able to keep our allies in the United States safe.
Now, for a shocking amount of U.S. history since World War II, it has been perfectly possible for a rogue commander or general to initiate a first strike nuclear attack without getting authorization from the president, most famously depicted in Stanley Kubrick's classic movie, Dr. Strangelove. Apparently, Representative Turner watched that movie and took the notes on how well those procedures worked. The problem we have here is deeply rooted in the military-industrial complex and the war hawks in this country. The ones who are willing, there have always been, while most of us, most normal people, looked at the possibility of a nuclear war, a nuclear exchange, we look at that as the absolute worst case scenario, not only for this country, but for humanity. There are those in this country, Rebecca and James, that are absolutely not concerned about the ramifications of this because they prefer to have the ability to strike first if they so choose to. And that is a problem. And that is something that I don't think we can continue in this country, especially when we have a president like we had in Donald Trump, who demonstrated his willingness to use nuclear weapons. He even threatened, do y'all remember when he threatened, he said that we should drop a nuclear bomb into a hurricane and see if that breaks up the hurricane. Like, folks.
Just for fun. Just for fun. Like,
that's
dangerous. Whole ass nuke.
And then don't even know what that could possibly lead to, maybe clearing out a whole damn town. Like, you don't know. Like, this man literally doesn't think. And I think people don't think. Like, the same way that the police system works. They'll go and shoot first, right? And they'll just, that's just their way of working things out. The way the United States works is to go, and if there's conflict, we're going to blow your up. That's how we do things around here. We're just going to go and kill your whole town off and then come back and say, thanks for serving. So the people who go, it's a terrible thing that's been happening for years. I never understood it every time. And then we think that we're winning when we do stuff like that. But in reality, that is not the way. If there's conflict with another country, let's go blow them up. Like, is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing?
Money.
That's what I'm saying. Like, money over everything. So we need to defund that as well, right? Yeah. Like she's putting into place, like she's saying what we should do. Defund that joint and put that money somewhere else. Like, we cannot be okay with that kind of a system and say that's like, and then call ourselves a nation of freedom and of peace, and we're so strong and we're untouchable. Like, that is so, to me, that's so cowardly how we move. And if there's an issue or whatever, is to go blow up a town and say, we won, we got them, they won't keep messing with us. But that only continues conflict. That only continues our relationships with other countries to be, to never be a thing, to be non-existent. So a lot of times people in our comment section look at us like we are just an embarrassment. And that, to me, is one thing I've always been embarrassed about, is how we find our confidence in going to blow up other countries because of a small conflict or whatever.
I thought you were talking about our show being embarrassment. I'm going to say, what the hell are they in the comment section for? You talking about
this show is not embarrassment. Look at us. How are we an embarrassment?
No. You were talking about the United States. No. I put two and two together pretty quickly, but you're right. Like, it's just, I mean, I think of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We dropped bombs and killed hundreds of thousands of people. We dropped nuclear bombs. And the willingness to do that is not rooted in spreading democracy. It's not rooted in any of the lies that they tell you about freedom. It's not rooted in any of that. Rebecca, when you said we need to defund the military-industrial complex, that's exactly what it's rooted in. It's rooted in the amount of money that is available to defense contractors who can go and develop these weapons, develop the armaments, develop the guns, and even down to Halliburton. I remember Halliburton. Some of the most money that Halliburton made during the Iraqi war was through the food that they supplied for the soldiers, right? And so it's just this constant back and forth in between war and brief moments of peace, war, brief moments of peace, like war, and then no moments of peace, because they have to sustain the ability to pay all these defense contractors billions, hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. These contractors are so filthy rich. I'm not talking about soldiers. The soldiers are poor. They're cannon fodder.
Yes.
Soldiers are the ones who just thrown out there to take a bullet and then they cut off your benefits. Like you don't even
Come
get
home
paid.
homeless.
You don't even get paid for the rest of the day that you died. They just, nope, you died. Oh, okay, cut off right there. I'm talking about the people, the defense contractors here in the United States. They get $5-6 billion. They get $35 billion to develop a jet that never even flies. And so it is, Rebecca, it is a fact that they have to defund this military industrial complex. But let me just for the record state, there's no way in hell that they would do that because it is so entrenched in every single aspect of our life, of our politics, of our commercials on television. You could be watching MSNBC. You could be watching Fox News. You're going to see a Boeing commercial. You're going to see a Halliburton. Well, not Halliburton, but you're going to see all the defense contractors have bought up these commercial spaces during the news to make sure that these news organizations, CNN is never going to talk against the military industrial complex. Fox News certainly isn't because they believe in it. MSNBC certainly isn't because they get too much money from these industries. So that's exactly right. We got to get money out of that because they reward murder. So
they reward, and it's crazy. They reward murder, and then the people that they make murderers. Oh my God, they will sign up a little 17, 18-year-old person, go out there, make them murderers, don't know what they put in their heads and their minds. And then when they come back they're mentally traumatized by what they've seen, experienced, lost friends, found that when they were there, oh my God, I am killing people and families and babies, or I'm potentially falling in love with somebody in another country, whatever. Then they get over here, ain't got nothing to show for it. But every time they pull up, I see this all. Every time they pull up into a store, a rich man sees them. He's like, thank you for serving. And then leaves to go to his big mansion while this man who served the country, right, can only get a salute, but no insurance, no home, no money, no happiness, no way to get.
But thank you for your service.
The help he needs for his mental health. Not able to be a father if a father, or not able to be a mother if a mother, not able to be a husband, a wife, or whatever they need to be, that makes them complete because they decided to give a few years of their life not knowing if they were going to come back home for this country. And then they get here and this damn country doesn't do a thing for them. This is the world we live in. And I think that is ridiculous. So who are we to really go out here and frame how the disgusting ways that we move, like going to go bomb a country because of conflict, that being our first method, to go and bomb a country because of conflict. Who are we to say that that's noble? Look how we treat the people that go out there and do and put the blood on their hands for America.
I often think about how the bad guys win so much. America's a bad guy, just for the record. You think about the Native Americans. They have to sit here and look at this empire that has grown and been built literally on their land, just snatched from them. And now the greatest empire in the history of the world, they have to sit back and look and see the bad guys winning. You think about other nations, particularly in the global South, that are exploited by America. And it's not just America. I want to be sure, right? It's still it is capitalism and it's imperialism, and you're going to find capitalism and imperialism everywhere you find powerful people. Okay, and so look at across the globe where all of these countries, particularly the United States, are implementing their own neocolonialism, their own imperialism. And can you imagine being a citizen of a nation? Let's take Iraq, for example. And America has come and occupied your nation. And all you could do is sit back and watch these people be not only terrorists in your country, but Rebecca, how you framed it, noble, viewed as noble, viewed as honorable, viewed as patriotic, viewed as the heroes. That's the thing that really kind of like throws me into
to be an American.
You know what I mean?
I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man who died, who gave his life for me. And as we stand up,
why you in the country accent?
That's how I feel every time I sing that damn song.
Bro, no. And then people get all teary-eyed when they sing the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, sing it, Rebecca. Like over there crying and stuff.
Be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
And then the jets are flying over.
Red man who died, gave his life for me. As we stand up.
Knowing we over there just killing people. Knowing we over there.
Proud
Yeah.
American.
Rebecca, you do
God
that. Rebecca, you do that too well. Like the crooked mouth
She
and
do.
everything.
Right.
Oh man.
It's the food. That's how they be. And then what's so funny is they'll sing this song, get all teary eyed, and like I said, they'll tell us that kneeling is so
So
kneeling
bad.
was the worst thing that we could have ever
Disrespect
done.
the troops.
It's disrespecting the troops. But yeah, these troops come home and they living outside, especially if they black. They are living outside, no mental health, no nothing. They just outside. You go down in downtown. That's supposed to be so black. You go downtown, white folks living all around that area.
Yeah.
You have a lot of black veterans that are living outside, though. Literally outside on the streets. I will never forget. I went to go watch The Lion King when it was out a few years back.
Oh, you got money.
I tell you, it was my man at the time. But I will tell you that in those streets, that was one of the coldest winters. That's that winter that it was just snowing
man.
ridiculously.
I remember that one.
You remember.
Yeah.
And there was a family with a newborn baby.
Yeah.
The father had to be a veteran because he had all the stuff next to him, and then a newborn baby, the wife, and they were freezing. I didn't even want to watch Lion King no more. I was like, this is what we're doing? Is this what we're doing in Atlanta? This place is lined up with veterans and their families that they can't support or whatever, and no one is doing a thing in this weather. How are they surviving, right? But they want to be upset. All they offer the troops is thank
salute.
You for serving.
Yeah,
and then
thanks for your service.
They're disrespectful to the flag. They're disrespectful to America. I mean, this is ridiculous. How they will flip it when somebody kneels and says that black people need to be included into the freedom. Black people need to be included in making sure that their lives matter. That's us disrespecting the flag. They will find any reason. So honestly, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to go there. But
do it. Say that. Don't forget it though. Save it for the after party.
I'm probably not even going to say it in the after party because I ain't got no business. I don't want those issues. But I will say, let's look at, hold the mirror to yourself. Look at you. Look at you guys. People think it's so patriotic. I mean, I have my neighbor who I see put their flag outside. And I just look and I think when I see that flag, it's just racism. You're telling me that you are just white and you're racist.
Yeah. The flag, the American flag. Yeah, it tells you a lot. The other entire half of my wife's family, all of them are military, ex-military, military, but they have this very clear-eyed, sober view. And I sit down and talk to her dad all the time. Can't wait to get the second shot. I'm gonna go and sit in his garage and sip on some cognac and talk with him and talk shit about talk stuff about America, because they being black in the military, and it's not the same for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But I appreciate the fact that they understood very clearly how this game is played, and that they take poor people. Which, like my father-in-law, when he was younger, they took him out of the neighborhood that he was in, and they only way he could get the stability that he needed at that time in his life to raise a family was by putting his life on the line for this country. But they don't come out with this attitude of God bless America. They come out with the attitude of we should not have had to do this in order to just survive this country. And there's so many poor people. This is why you see recruiting stations in all the black neighborhoods. You'll see 2 or 3 just in Camp Creek around here in Atlanta. You see 2 or 3 in one plaza, right? And that's because they know that you got young black people, young brown people, and young white people who are poor and need an option to get out. And so their option is to go over and kill people on behalf of this country. And it's just a continuous cycle over and over and over again. I know we're coming up at the hour.
I do want to get one more story in the public show, and then James will go to a break and we'll announce all of our new patrons, and then we'll go to the after party. If you want to be a part of the after party, patreon.com/like it or not. And you can get access to the rest of the shenanigans. But yeah, patreon.com/like it or not. Actually, let me save this story. This is, we have like 2 or 3 stories that I do want to go over. Rebecca, James, I'm going to save them for the after party. What do you think?
I'm trying to stay in position because when I go here and I'm centered, I'm out of frame, and I don't want Dwayne to like disrespect me again. But I think
this Tyler Perry clip too. We could do that. We could do all that.
We can do that in the after party. So let's take it to the after party. I think that we were able to get the main stories in without getting beat up in the comment section, because they're like, y'all said y'all was gonna do this story. So
sure. I'm making sure that we do every story that's in the title. We're going to get it done. But when we go to the after party, we're going to talk about Tyler Perry, who gave a speech about hate against black people, hate against Asian people, and hate against cops. One of those things isn't the same, Tyler Perry. Just want you to know. Then we're going to discuss Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. A lot of so much stuff going on around her and people attacking her, particularly about a clip that just came out that supposedly shows her unwavering support for Joe Biden, but that's not actually what this clip says. So we're going to discuss that in the after party, along with a couple of other stories. So patreon.com/like it or not. James?
And before we go,
I didn't know. That's why I'd be like, should I go? Should I move? Because Rebecca always got something.
It's true. But there's a commenter in the comment section. I am pulling, y'all know I don't really do this, but I seem to be doing it every show. So I think I do this.
We got to keep you out of this comment section.
All board in the comment section.
Girl, you ain't had to. Ooh, girl, you ain't got to. I was going. But go ahead, Rebecca. Go ahead.
I need you to stop. The third host, first and foremost, has a name, and his name is James. Okay,
put some respect on his name.
Put some respect on his name.
On that man's name.
Stop saying the other guy, the third host.
He knew. He don't know no better. Chat room, handle that.
Yeah,
Rebecca, look, chat room, handle that.
Chat room, handle that. But I will say, when he's not like. If he wants to speak, he's gonna speak. He'll cut us off to make sure he speak. If he wants to get in on it, he will get in on. Nobody's holding him hostage,
like we're holding
telling him not to speak. He's our DJ. And granted, today's show we wanted to make sure we got all of the stories in. But he's the resident DJ. He is our house DJ. He gives our music. He gives us our happiness, and he chimes in when he wants to chime in. That's a grown man. Don't be acting like do not.
He grown. He grown.
So please,
he got bills. You put some respect on that man.
Put some respect on this handsome man.
You see this whole crown on my head? It ain't for nothing.
That's a cane. He's not a king. He's a cane.
What Michael say? Look, Bubba's the king. He speaks without talking. That's goddamn right. I can say a whole lot just by pressing the button.
That's what I'm talking about.
Ooh, y'all know what? And it's the perfect song.
I could really use a change of scenery.
After party.
See y'all in the after party, y'all. Rebecca, I love you.
Love you back.
Still fly.
I know.
I'm still fly.
Shout out to everybody out there, y'all. Good morning, y'all.
It could all be worse. I could
Be a hater like you. Y'all, he ain't know no better, y'all. All the board ain't know no better. So y'all get them situated, get them together and everything. We'll be good to go, okay?
Say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm free.
Good morning, everybody, y'all. Good morning, mama. Good morning, sensation. Y'all, we gonna get these patron names named off real quick, and we gonna meet y'all in the after party.
It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here.
Lady D, Purple Rain Hearts, Alicia, good morning, y'all. Michael, I appreciate that super chat. Y'all just dropped all of them. Laura Estrada, Bubba Love Forever, I appreciate you.
Cheers to all that.
All right, we're going to get these names named off real quick. New patrons, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have Carrie T. We have Nate Lee. We have Teresa S. Welcome, Teresa. Thema N. Hope it's not Thelma, but Thema N. BH. Lee W. Hey, Belinda W. Selma K. Nicole J. Oliver B.
Say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now.
Omni Romney. Summer I am the kind dragon. Coolest Regent. And future Mrs. Lee. Come on, future Miss Lee. You better write that, girl. I hear you. Future Mrs. Lee. I hear that. Those are our new patrons, y'all. Y'all welcome to the fold. We're going to get back to this music and finish all out with Still Fly.
It's my time to ride it out.
On the board, welcome to the fold, sir. Welcome to your first viewing of Like It or Not. Hopefully that you enjoy it, and we'll get you together soon, all right?
On the bus, say yeah, yeah. If you're on the train, say yeah, yeah. If you gotta walk, say yeah, yeah. Everybody's going somewhere.
Shout out to Nick A. Nick. I think there's another Nick in the chat. Nat A. Nat M. Good morning, y'all.
Really been fair. Yeah. So put your fist up in the air. Yeah. Say yeah. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my
all right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. We're about to pull up at the after party. Make sure that you go to patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com. Whoa. Patreon.com/like it or not, y'all. Make sure that y'all share, comment, subscribe, and we thank y'all. Off to the after party. After the party. Can we go somewhere and finish where we started? It's called the after party. Come on, like it or not.